Hey, it's pronounced Vag and I'm Adam, and in this video, I'm gonna remove my aerofabb spoiler. Don't worry, I'm putting on the brand new version. The new one is a little bit thicker and has a chamfered edge all the way around. This one though, I modified, I made the cutout on my own. Not something that is recommended and obviously not warranted by aerofabb. So I'm gonna get the new one on. I'll talk a little bit about the process that it takes to get it off. What I really wanna show you though is what it looks like underneath. I've had this on for about 8 months, so it's been through at least one full winter. So I expect there to be some junk kind of back in there, but I think there's some nice features that aerofabb has on their product that will help keep some separation between the spoiler and the gloss black piece that goes around the third brake light there. So that's really what I want to focus on and show you in the end what the brand new one looks like. So here we go. Before I get going too far in this process, I want to point out that I do have an install video for this spoiler. It's on a buddy's car, but it's the same exact process for Mark 7, Golf R, GTI, Mark 7, 7.5. So I'll put a link right about here for you. I said that I wasn't going to show how to take this thing off. It wasn't my intention, but there's a little bit of tricks to what I've learned here. On these lower strips here, they're very short. I just used my X-Acto knife to get in there. I was very careful to cut as straight as I could on both sides. I used a heat gun to kind of heat it up, and then I also used my detailing spray to lube up the knife so I could cut through that pretty easily. I have some fishing line that I tried doing. It broke. I had some floss that I tried and it broke. So what I've resulted to is using this kind of putty knife, something that's just kind of long and thin, narrow, to be able to get down in there. So what I have ended up doing, I got really lucky so far. There's two strips that are kind of the main strips here. This one here, I don't know if I just didn't adhere it as well, or maybe I got lucky in the way that it's peeling off, but I'm actually getting all of it off just by pulling it up. And so what I've been doing that you can see that you saw in the time lapse is that I'm basically running my fingers all the way along here to apply some pressure and build some separation. And so by getting that separation, I'm able to kind of start peeling the tape away, and I'm able to get my knife down in there just to, or not my knife, but my kind of putty blade, and I'm cutting the top adhesive, and the bottom one is just peeling up. So there's a little bit of tips and tricks in how to get this thing off. All right, so I've just gotten the spoiler off. I got really lucky. This bottom strip here, I was able to peel up without cutting and leaving any residue on the spoiler here. I don't think it's because of how I prepped the surface or anything wrong with the tape. It may have been how I applied pressure. There's obviously, I think, going to be, with these two pieces of tape here, I think that there's a lot of contact here and a lot of contact on this area here, because this is actually a raised lip if you look at it from the side. So I think that maybe that's what happened, but God, it took some serious force to get all that off. So it wasn't going anywhere. I think that this is one of the products that aerofabb puts on here that makes a big difference. I think that, having that separation is gonna save the rest of this gloss black in case anybody wants to ever remove. So I'm gonna now do work to get this all cleaned up and as factory fresh as I can, obviously without filling those holes. If you can tell, I'm out of breath. right, so here's the spoiler all cleaned up. Before I put it back on the car, I wanted to show with it flipped up like this, since it's easier to see in the light. It cleaned up pretty well. If you get a close look, you can see all the water spots that are on there from before. There's nothing that's really scratched up. You can see that I have these rings from the little rubber washers here. I think what happened, if I look back in the video of when I did the install on this, I think I ended up putting the adhesion promoter all the way out there. So based on the way that that looks, I think that's because of the adhesion promoter. You see those rings there. But otherwise, there's just two tiny little holes on each end that, you know, if I ever decided to take this off, I could very easily just leave those. I don't think it would impact anything, or I could even find some nice little rubber plugs to go in there. All right, a little bit of a jump into the future, and I have the spoiler back on without the aerofabb spoiler extension on. I just wanted to show a little bit of detail really quick, how little damage is actually caused by the adhesive that was on there, the holes that were drilled, and all the crud that was kind of gathered under there over a period of time. I was expecting to see quite a bit more scuffing from just crud getting under there and rubbing back and forth, but what's really nice about the aerofabb spoiler extension is that with the little rubber washers that go around these areas, it stands the spoiler off. And then you also have the 3M tape, so nothing actually makes contact with this back piece. So I was able to get it all cleaned off and everything turned out really, really nice. One thing I was a little concerned about is that the adhesion promoter, I had just slathered it all over the back here. And so I actually ended up having adhesion promoter underneath where those little rubber washers were. And I had circles on there, but after a period of time and a couple of washes, it just ended up, it must have flaked off or wore away and didn't stay there. So I'm really happy about that. And I think too, looking back a little bit further, like if anybody ever decided to take that off, there's not, like you can barely see those holes, and that would be super easy to plug up. I'm pretty impressed. All right, I want to give you a really good representation of how good the gloss is on this aerofabb spoiler. Check this out. Hi, Mom. All right, so now we check out the thickness. It's about twice as thick as the old unit. There are these recessed pockets now for the exterior washers to set into. And then we've got the chamfered or double chamfered edge here that kind of creates this nice smooth rounded edge. The badge being set in there is so slick. It's like a gel style type badge. And then on the back you've got, obviously, there's a bee flying around me. And then on the back you've got all of the 3M tape. One awesome thing that aerofabb does is they do two different thicknesses of tape because there's a step on the back. You'll see more about that on the install video that I did, but you've also got these rubber washers installed. So like I mentioned before, when I was looking at the spoiler, basically for having these rubber washers here and all of the 3M tape, you're basically standing it off of the existing spoiler. So there's never anything that rubs or scuffs or anything when you're doing, well, when it's on the car. So if you ever decide to take it off, you're gonna be in good shape. Look how nice this thing is. Got the inset badge, this chamfered edge, and then look at how tight these are. How they set in there. That's so awesome. That detail right here around the winglet.